8:15. Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Anne and Martin this morning.
Yeah, let's take a look now what's in today's newspapers. We've got Kevin, Schofield and Candice Holdsworth. Sorry, a bit slow there. Let's go straight to you, Kev, a story that I was really keen to pick up last time. This is a poll boost for Keir Starmer. This is the backlash to the Tories saying they're going to drop some of their net zero policies.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this position before where a newspaper commissions a poll.
Yeah.
And you're in the lap of the gods, really, because you've no idea what's going to come back. And what's come back is pretty much where we've been for quite some time. You know, let's go Labour on 44%, Tories on 27%. That gap, roughly 15-20%, has been in place for a long, long time. So what they're trying to do is, oh no, we're going to try and make this new. And quite cleverly, they're linking it to, this week, Rishi Sunak is, in the wake of the Uxbridge by-election, has started to undoubtedly roll back a little bit on net zero, green. They think it's a vote loser. And what the Eye are saying is, well, actually, Labour have extended their lead. The lead has gone from 14 points to 17 points. Same week that Sunak's thrown back. Ergo, it shows that the public don't agree with them doing that. I'm not sure you can actually make that link, but...
No. I mean, they're preaching to their own converted.
There is that. Although, if you look at other polling that I've seen, the public is pretty much on board with the net zero stuff and green policies, according to the opinion polls. So there may well be something in this that actually, where the Tories think they're on to a bit of a winner by rowing back on the green stuff, actually they're going against the tide of public opinion.
I wonder how much of that is true, though, Kev. Bring you in here, Candice, because we saw when voters were actually given the chance to vote on this in Uxbridge with the ULEZ, it was a binary referendum on it. The Tories avoided what should have been a heavy defeat. So are polls the way to go? Or, when people are given the chance, because it's not just about the concept of saving the planet, it's £12.50 a day every day, it's £10,000 for a new boiler, it's you can't go on holiday. When it drags into the personal costs and it's tangible, it's not so popular, is it?
See, that's the key point, and I think this is what... So Tony Blair came out yesterday making that exact same point, saying that you can't ask ordinary people to bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Rather, what you have to do is we'll focus on technological innovation that will, say, for developing countries, will help them decarbonise. So they're sort of shifting their focus from levies, green levies, people sort of paying extra for these things, to innovation. But what is interesting about a lot of this stuff is, yes, people will be opposed to LTNs and ULEZ and things like that, but they like clean water. So you'll have a lot of consensus on that. So it's sort of finding those points, right? So that's what the political parties have to do.
It's deeply cynical, that, though, isn't it? You know, analysing what people want to hear and then telling them what they want to hear.
Yeah, it's government by focus group, isn't it? You're being led by the public rather than leading them. And I'm speaking to quite a few politicians this week on the back of the Uxbridge result to see what they take from it. And they're saying, well, actually, if you're going to impose these green policies, you've got to take the public with you. And, you know, but it's, do you listen to the public or are you just completely blowing in the wind? Because some people actually, you know, oftentimes the public want their politicians to take a lead.
To lead.
Yeah,
exactly.
but there's ways of taking lead. At the moment, it feels like it's all stick and no carrot.
Well, you don't want it to be ideological as well. So people who are sort of fixated on a certain future that they see with green policies, but they're not bringing people with them. They're not orienting themselves to what voters actually want. And, you know, things have shifted. The cost of living is high right now. You can't pile too much pressure.
Can we move on to, because this is something I know that everybody at home is going to have a view on roasting a chicken, on basically, it's in the Times, isn't it, Kevin? The idea that the instructions we get on how to cook certain foods.
Yeah, so there's a heated debate, over here, between... Now, if you're right, whenever you buy a chicken, and the cooking instructions are always over an hour, they sort of err on the side of caution. But what...
20 minutes per kilo, plus an extra 20, aren't they?
20 minutes, that's right. But what some chefs are saying is that you're basically burning it to a crisp, you're drying it out. Now, you're not going to get food poisoning from it because it's cooked thoroughly, but it's not going to be as moist and as tasty as it should be. So some chefs are saying what you need to do is actually cook it at a higher temperature, but for much shorter periods of time. For instance, 35 minutes, but I'm not sure whether...
No, 35 minutes doesn't sound enough.
Yeah, but the best chicken I ever had was you cook it very hot for a short period of time, like 35 minutes, then leave the door closed,
and let it
and let it cool down for like an hour. Then it's beautiful.
See, for me, it's 200... About an hour and a half for
Yeah.
a full roast chicken, a little bit of olive oil, juicy and delicious.
You cover it or not?
No.
You don't?
See, it's so contentious,
Well,
this issue,
a lot
isn't
has to do with how your mum did it as well.
Exactly.
Growing up, my
Yes.
mum did all the cooking, and that was, she cooked it for quite a while, but she had tin foil on it initially.
Yeah.
And if the last sort of half hour you take the tin foil off, it
goes
crisps
crispy.
up the skin.
That's so true, because my husband's mum really cooks things. She's so afraid of food poisoning and bacteria, whereas I like especially with red meats, I like it a little bit
It's
raw.
different with red meat, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, a lot of people eat their red meat almost still mooing.
Yeah.
But chicken, we're all frightened of the salmonella and any other bugs
Yeah.
that might be within it.
Yeah.
So we've learned to be very wary of how we
But maybe
cook
we're
chicken.
going a bit too far, because there's nothing worse.
See,
than
these chefs
dry
are very
roast chicken.
experienced and they know from the look of it whether it's safe, really, don't they?
Exactly.
But the rest of us are, I don't know, not willing to take a risk.
So it's got Heston Blumenthal, for instance, obviously
Yeah.
well-known chef. Says that chicken should be roasted in an oven set at 70 degrees, but for several hours.
Jeez.
But
Slow
Raymond
cook.
Blanc says no more than 40 to 45 minutes. So, you take...
Everyone's got a different idea, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all scared of
There's more than
cooking
one way
chicken.
to roast a chicken.
Well, there clearly is.
Yum.
I don't know
I'm
whether I
starving.
trust the Times to tell us. Candice, the woman who is now going to make M&S cool.
So I love this. So they've brought in... So M&S, this is a story in the Times Magazine. They've brought in someone called Maddie Evans, who used to be at Topshop, which is obviously seen as quite cool, contemporary, trendy. And she has basically turned around M&S's fortunes. So they weren't doing too well.
No, they'd gone very dull.
Yes, they were seen as really frumpy. And so she's brought in a whole new design philosophy. She's brought in whole new ranges. So you've got like the boyfriend jeans and the mum jeans. And she's sort of pivoting away from just cardigans without totally alienating their customer base. And sales have gone up by about 42%.
Have they indeed?
It's huge,
Because they had slumped badly for quite a few years.
Badly. And, people just weren't turning to them, and they weren't gaining new customers as well. They sort of had their loyal customers, but they weren't bringing new people on. And I have noticed a shift with M&S, actually. They've got some really nice stuff.
And they've also got really good bloke stuff. So I've got an M&S shirt on now. I normally buy sort of quite expensive, pricey shirts, but the M&S shirts are excellent. Their autograph range is really good. They've got some nice pastel colours for
their
bloke.
history has always been like that,
Yeah,
hasn't
but
it?
it's good for
they
blokes
do
as well.
well, and then they get it wrong for a while, and then they get it right.
Yes.
And that's the history of M&S. Look, we haven't got much more time, so should we talk about oysters?
Oh, yes.
A food theme today.
So I absolutely love this piece. So this was in the Telegraph magazine, and the writer Ed Cumming was sort of saying, do we really like oysters,
Oh, I
or
love
is
them.
it because it's trendy?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, right? Like, you don't want to seem unsophisticated, so you're in a restaurant and you eat your oyster and it just tastes like mermaid snot, as my one friend said.
Absolutely, totally. That's why I can't go near it, because that's what it looks like too.
But you've got to say, I love oysters.
No.
Yes,
I love
Tabasco
oysters.
sauce.
Yeah, I like
It's probably the
vinegar.
Tabasco sauce you like, rather than the oyster.
Yeah. It's not a nice texture.
No, it's...
So-
So,
I think it is.
why do you have
And
them?
you're not supposed to chew it either, are you?
No, you're meant to
You don't
swallow
want
the whole
chew it,
thing.
you just-
Yeah.
I do it. I like oysters swallowed whole. I like to chew them raw. I like to cook them. I'll pick them out. I'll pick them out of the sea and have them. I'll eat raw mussels out of rock pools. I just love raw food.
I had a bad oyster, though, a few years ago, and since then I've been put off them. I can't have them again. Maybe one day I'll be able to venture.
Now, all I can say is look at them. Just look at them and think, why would I want to eat it? And why would I want to pay so much to eat it? It's the snob value that counts with an oyster.
that's it.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got lots more to talk about, of course. We are going to have to look at those train strikes again and the weather. This is Breakfast on GB News.